Monday, November 4th, and we're getting stuff moved to the field to run some more corn. Got the combine blowed off and the daily lubrication stuff done earlier this morning, and Dad drove it to the field, and then I went over to get him, and I'm taking a wagon over and he's bringing the cart. We left the truck there overnight, so it was ready to go. Other than need to check over a couple things on it before we take it to town. But things are going smoothly. The forecast for this week looks good, so as long as nothing serious breaks, hopefully we'll get finished, and then maybe have some time before it freezes up to get cover crops planted, and have some conservation projects, tile and terraces, that hopefully are going to get done this fall also. So there's going to be plenty of action yet, even after the crop is out of the field. But just getting rolling right now, and thought I'd do a quick video on the way to the field. So, the Monday afternoon update. We are combining some corn. Hope you can see the combine in the background there. Got off to a little bit of a slow start this morning. We made about 3 passes on some short contour rows over here on the corner of this farm. And the clean grain elevator drive belt fell off. And it turned out that the tensioner piece had broken. So I had to take it home and get that welded up. Basically it was a little L-shaped bracket on the end of a small pipe or tube, probably 3/4 inch OD maybe. But when it was welded together, it was only welded like halfway around the tube, and that was the side away from the tensioner arm. So basically there was 2 little bitty pieces of metal holding that whole thing together, and they broke. So we welded that back together and welded all the way around the tube this time, and seems to be working okay so far. But there's an engineer at John Deere that I'm not very happy with right now. But we are rolling, and I doubt if we'll get this field finished today, but should get a pretty good dent put in it and get it wrapped up tomorrow anyway, as long as nothing serious breaks. Morning. It's Thursday, November 7th, and hopefully we're going to finish 2019 harvest today. Second as we bounce across this waterway. We are headed to the field. It's about 7:45 or so, I think now, 7:35 maybe more like. We're on daylight savings time now, so we're kind of still working basically the same hours as before. The clock just says an hour earlier. It got pretty cold last night. I don't know if you can see the frost on the corn stalks and stuff, but I think the overnight low was like 18, and it's not even going to be above freezing until about noon today. So I spent a little bit of time last night setting up a little propane heater by the sprayer, because we haven't got it winterized yet, and there's not room for it and the combine in the shop. Kind of warmed things up a little bit last night, and then was out there again at about 6 a.m. or so this morning to try to make sure that nothing freezes and breaks. Hopefully, if we can get finished today, we'll get the corn head cleaned up, or at least off of the combine, and then have room to get the sprayer tucked in the shop and worry about getting it actually winterized next week probably. But we've got about 10 acres left, so hopefully, maybe a little bit more than 10 or 12 maybe. But hopefully, if everything cooperates, we'll be finished before lunch here. The mitigating factors, besides the normal farming mitigating factors of random things breaking when you don't want them to, are that since it got cold, and we're not really sure exactly what the fuel, or like if we have summer blend or winter blend that went into the cart tractor, whether we're going to have any issues getting it started. It's a clear day, so the sun's shining and the fuel tank is on the sunshine side. So I think we're going to maybe hold off. We emptied the cart last night, so hopefully we'll be good on that front, but we'll see what happens here, I guess. Always a little bit of an adventure. Ooh, and a pheasant. Dad must have scared up combining through. I think it was a rooster even. But hopefully we'll get wrapped up here today, and then onto the to-do list of other things to get done before it gets frozen up. Want to do some cover crops hopefully, and need to clean up all the harvest equipment and get it, put away and things tucked into sheds and whatnot, as well as do some fall tillage and stuff, kind of work up some areas that we packed down where we were loading trucks and pulling trucks in and out of the field and running the grain cart and stuff. But that's where we're at right now. Got about 10 acres left. Hopefully the yield is a little bit better down here. This field was farmed for a lot of years without terraces on a pretty steep slope, and there's not a lot of topsoil, especially kind of at the top in the middle of the hills. It has terraces on it now, so there's not really any erosion problems, but because there's not a lot of topsoil, maybe not the best yielding. But it is what it is. We're going to get this wrapped up, and hopefully nothing will break and everything will start. Well, we got everything out of the field and on wheels. So far we're one of two on tractors inside, or vehicles inside outside last night starting. The semi started okay, the grain cart tractor did not. So we're going to let it sit in the sunshine for a little bit longer and try it again after a while. We're not going to get everything on one semi load anyway, so Dad took the first load to town. I'm going to see if the auger tractor will start, which is our other wild card, because it hasn't really been starting great, and it's been cool. Anyway, dumped a little power service in the tank earlier, so we're going to see what happens. And may have a battery low too. The adventure continues. Well, it looks like we're one of three on the day. We have the jumper cables hooked up to this tractor and got a cord run out here and plugged in the block heater. So hopefully it's just a matter of time and this one will be going. But hoping that we have better luck with the grain cart tractor after a while. Mid at least would kind of hit a little bit. This one didn't really want to do anything, but I think that's mostly the battery. But since the battery's a little bit on the weak side, if we can kind of get the engine warmed up a little bit, that should kind of help things turn faster and get it running. But hurry up and wait at this point, I guess. Just need to get some things operating, and then wheels will be turning again. We're back up and running. Just took about 10 or 15 minutes on the block heater, and I was able to get the tractor started. Let it warm up a little bit, and we got corn going into the bin. So we're up in the top of the 20,000 bushel grain bin. One of the next to last load, which was not quite a full wagon full, I dumped without the spreader on. Grain spreaders and grain spreaders in bins are kind of a mixed blessing in that they suck, but they're better than nothing. This one actually leveled pretty well compared to most of my experiences, but we were a little bit low, kind of on the far side, and rather than have to push from clear over here to clear over there, I dumped some in the middle so that I can use that to kind of level it out. I'll still have to crawl up here with the shovel, obviously. To get even airflow, to get things dried, you really want it to be pretty level, and right now you can see that it's not spread clear to the wall, so we'll kind of knock that down and then spread that center pile out. But the next order of business, and I guess by the way, we did get the grain cart tractor started. Didn't start right up, but didn't have to jump it or anything, so that was good. Just needed a little bit more sunshine. So the next order of business is we're going to take down this auger, and before we do that, since I had the cord strung out from the block heater on the tractor earlier, I'm just going to clean the auger up here rather than pull it up to the shop. Basically going to try to get as much of the corn out of the auger as possible, just so that it doesn't rot and cause rust or harbor rodents or birds and things like that. So we're going to kind of try to get as much sucked out of the nooks and crannies as possible, which this auger has quite a few of those. So probably spend 10 or 15 minutes on that, and then hook up the swing hopper to the winch and get that pulled up, and then take the auger down. Got things vacuumed out here. Got the swing hopper cranked up using the winch. Had a jack underneath one wheel to kind of tweak the position of the spout a little bit, so we got that out of there. Got the PTO shaft unhooked from the tractor, and now it's time to pull this baby away from the bin. So there's a valve over here that locks it in position just to make sure that it doesn't come down when you don't want it to. So we'll open that up. And jump in the tractor. Hopefully Hopefully my battery will hold out here. So just to be safe, we'll raise up a little bit. And then pull away from the bin. As we get clear, we'll lower it down some. Try to get that center of gravity down as quickly as possible. Never tipped over an auger, but I certainly don't want to. Because I think we should be totally clear now, so we should be able to go all the way down. Actually, we'll stop a little bit short of all the way down, because when it's all the way down, the bottom of the hinge mechanism doesn't clear the ground by very much. So we'll kind of pull it out to its storage spot like that, and then lower it down the rest of the way and park it for the winter. It's about 3:30, and for the afternoon activities so far, basically I've been working on cleaning up the corn head, and then went and got some rye cover crop seed, which is in this wonderful wagon behind me. Not the prettiest machine, but it just serves the purpose. So we got all the dirt blown out of the mechanism on the corn head, flipped up the snouts, got all the stuff, the residue that collects behind the chain tighteners or behind the chain guides and tighteners and springs and stuff down here, and got that all blown off. Again, mostly just trying to get stuff clean so that that dirt and plant residue doesn't attract moisture or cause rust from humidity and stuff like that. And then the next step is that I'm going to go and paint all of the snouts. Not really worried about getting a fantastic paint job. We're just trying to get things coated so that when we get ready to use the head next year, the corn stalks are going to slide past it okay. So we're just going to shoot that real quick. Hopefully things are warm enough that it's going to work okay. Probably cooler than most people would paint anything that they cared about, but we're just trying to get something on the metal and don't really care if it sticks fantastically. All right, time to paint. Got the gloves on. Not going to bother with a mask since we're outside, and my mask is in my house, not at the farm. So we're going to kind of paint the back part back here first, and then the sides, and then do the tips of the snouts last, mostly so that I can get between the snouts to get that back part without getting paint all over myself. So we'll try this out. Kind of like so. Basically just trying to get everything green again. So I'll continue down the head and show some after footage here in a few minutes. Alright, we're all painted. There's some runs and some spots I missed and everything else, but overall we're green, and that's what counts. You might ask, why don't you put poly on here, and then you wouldn't have to paint it every year. And that's mostly a cost thing. We spend about probably $15 worth of paint and thinner to do this annually, and that, for what poly costs for a full head, we can do that for many, many years. Some of these snoots are getting kind of broken up and probably are going to need some repair work or kind of be forced to upgrade. But for the time being, serves the purpose. Well, the paint's drying on the corn head. We're going to make a place to put it here. We got to pull the disc and the grain drill out, and we'll get the corn head tucked back in the back corner there. Shouldn't need it until next September or so, hopefully. So that way it'll be out of the way, and we can use the stuff in front of it. We have some blocks we need to move. We had the head off the combine here earlier. Since we have the old style stock stompers, we need to block it up so that it doesn't smash down the springs, and so that we can get hooked back onto it in the spring, or in the fall, next fall. For moving stuff around, we have this handy little hitch that goes on the 3-point, so we can raise that up and down and be able to hook onto stuff and just pick it up with a 3-point instead of having to mess with lowering and raising the jacks to get unhooked. So I'm gonna hopefully pull this stuff out with this tractor, both pieces, and just set them around the corner here, and then we'll get the corn head in and put them back. Ideally, I would be using a bigger tractor for this, but this is the only one that I can use without having to switch around hitch stuff. So we're gonna try it and see how it goes, and if we can't get stuff pushed back up the hill here, then we'll switch things. But if we can, that'll save me some time. Paint on the corn head's still a little bit tacky, but I think it's dry enough. We're gonna put it in the shed. Before we do that, we need to put down the stops on the reel and unhook the hydraulics. So there's the hydraulics for the drive of the reel and the lift here. Take off the PTO shafts, and then underneath there's a couple pins that will slide back into the feeder house so that can let loose there and tip away. All right, so here's how this process works. We're gonna raise the hitch up, pull the pin on the jack, get it pinned up, set the block on the tongue, and grab the hydraulic line that fell off here. And now we can back her into the shed. The disc, drill, and corn head all in the shed. And it's not even dark yet. How about that? Now we're gonna get the combine tucked into the back corner of the shop and hopefully get the sprayer in there as well, so that it can be in a nice warm environment where we don't have to worry about putting heaters aimed at the pump or anything else freezing and causing problems.